Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is our NCAA preview along with Vincent Turner. I'm Harper LeBel. We look forward to telling you about some of the big games that are going to be taking place here in week number 5 in NCAA action. Vincent, before we get to the rest of the show, I just want to ask you real quick. Week 4 was great. Sometimes there are things that are exciting about maybe what week 5 would bring, but more than anything, I think this is the time where you're going to get a couple bye weeks for several teams in the major conferences, but you're also going to see conference play in full swing. That's the one thing. You get all those non-conference games out of the way, and then you get to talk about, what do we have to do in order to qualify for the playoff? And that's win your division or win your conference or at least play for the championship, and you pretty much can secure a spot.
What I took away from last week is that they don't play, but they play basketball in Indiana. We know Indiana for Bobby Knight, but their football program is very special. And I think in the Big Ten, if I'm in other of the Big Ten teams, I think I'm going to look at Kurt Sagetti and the quarterback they got, Fernando Mendoza. They for real. And that's what I'm going to take from week 4. Very impressive win over Illinois, 63-10. I did not see that coming. Back to you, Harper.
Big win there, and the Illini have to play the Trojans in Champaign. That is one of the games for this week. But before we continue this, let's first give a shout out to our friend Lee Haney. If you don't know who Lee Haney is, but you do know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is or Ronnie Coleman, you guys say, hey, he's only won the Mr. Olympia contest 8 times, and he is having what's called the Lee Haney Games. If you're a bodybuilder and you want to qualify for Mr. Olympia, one of the ways to do that is to qualify through the Lee Haney Games. There's a competition. It's for real. It's certified. And the winner of each group, male and female, get a pre-qualification to go to the Olympia contest. So it's extremely important. But if you're not a bodybuilder and you want to be a part of some of the other action that they have, there's plenty. The bodybuilding, of course, is the biggest part. There's a calisthenics. There's a deadlift show for some strong guys or girls that are out there. There's a dance competition. You have a fit kids competition for kids ages 6 through 12. There's a cornhole contest if you just want to throw a beanbag around like Vincent and me, and we don't want to work out, lift weights. We've done that before in our life. There's something for everybody. It's on November 1st. That's a Saturday, and it is at the Gas South District in Duluth, Georgia. You can call or you can get tickets or more information through LeeHaneyGames.com. All one word, Lee Haney Games. And if you'd like to help out with the charity Lee Haney's Harvest House, they have a charity golf event at the Country Club of Snellville. That is on October 30th. That's a Thursday. Charity event, best ball, great cause. You're helping out some very needy kids in the area, and obviously a chance to get to meet some other wonderful people that are part of the Lee Haney Games. So LeeHaneyGames.com for all the details. We appreciate you tuning in, and we also appreciate you being a part of today's show. Vincent, let's get right to it. National Collegiate Athletic Association, week number 5 in football, will be playing starting with Thursday, Army at East Carolina. But there's a game that we're going to talk about. Florida State goes to Scott Stadium in Charlottesville, Virginia, one of the most beautiful campuses on God's green earth. And it's a bucket list thing. I've never been there. Everybody's told me about how great it is. But if you're a Florida State Seminole, you don't care about that. You want to get your number 8 Florida Seminoles another victory.
I think this is very important. I think Florida State, I believe this is their first road game, correct? And they're going playing a very tough Virginia team who can really throw the football. Chandler Morris, who I believe was at TCU, transfers, got almost 1,050 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns, 1 INT, and they got a very good receiver in Terrell Harris that's going to cause Florida State some problems. But like I say, all eyes is on the nose. Mike Norvell, I'm happy for you, man. Based on the fact last year you went 2-10. Coming into this season, let's face reality, the pressure was on. And the win over Alabama showed me that Florida State is kind of back, and that's why they're nationally ranked right now. And I'm not going to butcher his last name, but Tommy C. and the offensive coordinator, Mr. Gus Malzahn, has turned Florida State back to what the Florida State was in the mid-'80s and the '90s. Back to you, Hart.
Yeah, Tommy Castellano, 71% completion, just under 600 yards. He's averaging 15.6 yards per throw, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. I'm not exceptionally impressed with that, but their running game with Mekhi Danzy. He has 3 touchdowns. Samuel Singleton, he's got 3. But Gavin Sawchuk, keep your eyes and ears open for this guy. 25 carries, 160 yards. He's averaging 6.4 yards per carry, and he already has 5 of the 17 touchdowns there for the number 8 ranked 3-0 Seminoles. They've got an offense that can move the ball. They beat Coastal Carolina 48-7. They lost to North Carolina State 35-31, but William & Mary and Stanford have both been in the way over the last couple of weeks, and now they've got Florida State. I'm sorry, that's the Virginia schedule. Please forgive me. Florida State undefeated. They beat Bama, East Texas A&M, and then Kent State. Last 2 weeks, they've scored an average of 70 points a game. They can move the ball offensively, and that's one of the things that I'm worried about if I'm a Cavalier.
Virginia, remember this, a few seasons ago, back in 1996, I believe they broke Florida State's unbeaten record, and I think that's when they had the Barber guys. We know how their career went. But when you look at Florida State, you mentioned a good point. They're able to run the football at a high level. They ran the football very well, and they opened the game against Alabama. But to me, this is a different type of Virginia team. Even though they might have struggled a little bit on defense, Virginia is going to be ready to play. And it's a tough place to play in. And what I'm hoping for is that Florida State shows us that they deserve the national ranking, because they can easily slip up and lose this football game. Back to you, Harper.
Yeah. Chandler Morris, 70% for him. He's already thrown for over 1,050 yards, 8.8 yards per completion, 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He's only been sacked once. So that's one of the neat things about it for me. And Jamari Taylor and Harrison Wiley have 10 of the 13 rushing touchdowns for them. They've also got 9 in the air. So they can score as well. So this will be a great game. Again, this is Friday. The kickoff is at 7 o'clock, and it'll be on ESPN. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Obviously, the big game in town there in the state of Virginia. Next game we want to look at, national rankings all over the place, except Washington, who, by the way, the Huskies are 3-0. They're undefeated. They beat Colorado State, UC Davis, and Washington State last week in the Apple Cup. We haven't talked to Dave Hoffman yet about that, but that's a different game now. It's not at the end of the year. But nonetheless, they take their arch rival. They beat them pretty handily, and now they take the number 1 Buckeyes on. What are you expecting here? This is a 3:30 kick Eastern time. It'll be on CBS. Ohio State, number 1 in the country. They're 3-0.
I'm thinking about it's going to be rocking in Seattle. Shouts out to you, Mr. Hoffman. 1991 National Championship team, Steve Etman, Billy Joe Holbert. Washington is going to be ready to play, man. Judd Fish, second year at the helm with the Huskies. Last year, a lot of people, from my understanding, were kind of disappointed how the Huskies ended up with their record in the Big Ten, but this is a good football team. I like their quarterback, Desmond Williams. Again, we talk about these quarterbacks we haven't heard of. He can play. And they got an NFL-type receiver out front by the name of Denzel Boston going up against that very good Ohio State secondary. But what I'm looking for is Seattle, the Huskies, the persona, that 91 National Championship team. This is a huge Big Ten game, and especially for Ohio State because they're going on the road. Back to you, Harper.
Yeah, before we move on to Ohio State, Jonah Coleman, running back for the Huskies, they have 15 touchdowns total. He has 9 already, averaging 6.8 yards per carry, 51 touches, 347 yards. Basically, he is their guy, right? He has been just a factory worker, right? Assembly line, just one time after another, just keep carrying the ball, come out for a bit of rest, and then just keep going. 6.8 is a really nice number, but also is 9. So the 3-0 Huskies at home, you're right, that place can be hopping. They might have some salmon tacos there over on the side like they do in Seattle for the Seahawks. They might have, some filet of halibut that they serve over there and some fresh Starbucks coffee. A little bit different, but the Buckeyes are going to know it's a smaller building. About 75,000 is the capacity there in Washington. But the Buckeyes are used to 95, 98, 102,000 when they can fit them in there. But Julian's saying big time for him now. This guy's got to respond. They've beaten Texas, which it was a close game, but I liked the way their defense held together and made Texas offensively look uncertain in a lot of different ways. They beat the tar out of Grambling, and they beat Ohio University 37-9. That was 2 weeks ago. So Ohio State now going into a unfriendly environment for the first time. This isn't Michigan. This isn't Penn State. This is a different type of rivalry. Will it be a unique experience for the Buckeye kids?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're going to a place that's got history, man, in a place that, let's don't mistake it, they get loud up there in Washington. And matter of fact, you should know because you used to play for the Seahawks. So you know how loud they get up there in the Northwest. And I
Yep.
like what you said about that Simon. And they probably going to mix that Simon with a little cocktails. So they're going to be ready with the Husky dog.
Yeah.
Ohio
Yeah.
State better be ready to play. And I like the comment you made about their quarterback, Julian Sand. We're going to really see, even though he's played very well, he's got the big win over Texas. I want to see how he played well in a hostile environment
Yep.
against a team that should be ranked. That's going to be huge to me personally.
Yep. Yep. Bo Jackson, C.J. Donaldson, and James Peoples are the top rushers for them. They have the best receiver probably in NCAA history. At least that's how everybody's talking about him, right?
Yes.
20
Yes.
catches, 15.8 yards per reception. 3 of the 9 touchdowns through the air are owned by Jeremiah Smith. So I think he doesn't have to have a big game for them to win, but I think if he does have a big game, that'll certainly propel Ohio State. But it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm looking forward to it. And that one, again, it starts at 3:30. It's on CBS. Another 3:30 kick is going to take place there in Oxford, Mississippi. The Grove, my friend, I've been there. There were a lot of empty seats first couple of weeks. Not for this one. And not just because Ole Miss is going to buy them up, the fans there. But if they don't buy them up, they're going to travel. The Bayou Bengals, they travel well. There'll be a parking lot full of people that are going to want to watch. They'll be looking for Wi-Fi. They want to stream. They're going to have DirecTV, whatever it takes to be able to watch their Bengals go into this one. This is going to be a classic game. 4-0. LSU, they beat Clemson, Louisiana Tech. They beat Florida. They beat Southeast Louisiana. So they've got a kind of nice little resume. And here's what I like about Ole Miss, Vincent, if you don't mind me saying so. They open up against Georgia State, but then they have Southeast Conference play in week 2. They go to Kentucky. They end up winning a close one there. Then they got Arkansas last week. Closer games, right? They're a touchdown or so, but they're playing conference games already where this will be the first one that LSU – I'm sorry, they played Florida, but I'm looking forward to this for a lot of reasons. 2 very good teams. They've got some history, as you well know, and both of them this year are they're loaded. LSU's ranked number 4. Ole Miss ranked number 13 in the country. If Ole Miss wins, they're going to probably move up it maybe 7 or 8. I think they might even go a little higher than that. But let's first and foremost talk about the game itself.
The game itself, 2 highly ranked teams, 2 teams that can score the football. All the way back, if you want to say Ghosts is in the stands, 1959, Billy Cannon running that punt back. LSU won that game 7-3, but this is a game that's going to be a lot of scoring, man. 2 quarterbacks there. Well, 1 quarterback that's red hot. Another one is not really played up his potential, Mr. Garrett Nussmeier, but Trinidad Chambliss, is playing out of his mind. I don't even think Austin Simmons is going to get his job back. And the biggest part to this football game is that you got a lot of intrigue going outside the game. LSU star linebacker, Whit Weeks, is dating Lane Kiffin's daughter. That's been really hot on social media this past week. And then most of all, as you just said, Hop, this is a huge football game. Really, it's a college playoff game. And you got stars all over the field. For LSU, Harold Perkins, NFL talent. Monsieur Delane, NFL talent. Garrett Nussmeier, maybe the overall number 1 pick. And then you look on the other side of Ole Miss, Quan Lacey, who a lot of people haven't even talked about, one of the best running backs in the conference. And I got to give shout out and love to Deuce Alexander, formerly wide receiver here in Douglas County. Formerly, he played his lights out of Wake Forest, transferred to Ole Miss. His father, Hilton Alexander, is one of the best guru wide receivers in the metro Atlanta area. So when you look at this football game, I hope I'm off work by that time. I'm going to be somewhere watching it, and it's going to be a lot of points. And one more thing before I give it back to you. If you want to talk about a fan base that's really loyal to their team, and it's really, I want to say, take it to another level, it's the LSU Tigers. I never forget this, 2001, when LSU upset Tennessee in the SEC championship game. You was right about their fan base. They get down, they party, and they are very, very good. And they're gonna come to Oxford, Mississippi. So don't worry about the stadium not being full. It's gonna be packed. But I'm gonna enjoy that football game on Saturday. Back to you, Harper.
They may not be able to hold all the people. A couple years ago, when Georgia State played at Alabama, I was speaking to the security, the guys at the motorcycle cops that gave us a ride around the campus to get to where we needed to be, from the hotel to the meeting rooms to the stadium. We were staying fairly close by, so it wasn't a really difficult job. And there were 4 motorcycle cops, and I walked up to every one of them, and they had just played in that 9-6 final LSU Alabama game. It was the week before. And I said, "Are you guys still cleaning up trash around the gutters and everything from that?" And he goes, "We're not cleaning up anything. We didn't." And I go, No, not you personally, but making sure." What was that like for you guys? He goes, "It was a madhouse, because there'll be 500,000 people that say they were there, but there were 300,000, 100 in the stadium and about 200 out." He said there wasn't a place to park anywhere around. The Bayou Bengals traveled. Even if they couldn't get a ticket to get in, they wanted to be there and say they were there. So that's the difference. I appreciate you bringing up how loyal and good their fans are. And it's not that far of a trip. And they do it, and they're very faithful. Listen to this, Vincent. Okay, so LSU started the season against Clemson, Louisiana Tech, then Florida. Now, Florida isn't what they were, and so I'm thinking in the back of my mind, we got through that one. That wasn't as hard as we thought. And they beat Florida 20-10. In progression now, they have at Ole Miss, South Carolina, who's unranked right now because they had a tough loss, Vanderbilt, they got to go there. Then they got number 9 Texas A&M, at Alabama, who's always a tough game. Then they go to Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and then they finish against Oklahoma. Are you kidding me? What a tough schedule the Bayou Bengals have. If they get through that and qualify for the playoff, they have been through a gauntlet and a half. And because of just the amount of teams in the SEC that are still ranked heavily right now, I think they have a clear shot to probably, get a first-round bye or something like that. They may not earn it, but boy, I tell you what, they get through all this. They are a great football team, in my opinion.
Well, remember this. They went in the portal right after the season, and Brian Kelly's came out and said this several times. This is the best team he's had since he's been there. Yeah. And if you go back to the Clemson game, the one thing that I was looking for, the major point, because we know LSU is going to score points. They're going to have wide receivers that go to the NFL, and they're going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to sling it. But I really want to see how their defense played their opening game, and they played pretty well. And they had, 5 interceptions against Florida. They got the number 1 corner, Monsieur Delane, who I just mentioned, from Virginia Tech. Then they went and got Patrick Payton. Then they got Jack Payburn out of Florida, Payton out of Florida State, 2 of the high-level transfer portal guys at the defensive end position. And if you look at LSU, they're playing defense. But as we talk all along here on this show and several other shows, the best football is played down here in the South in the SEC. So get used to it. Every game is going to be for any team to go through this gauntlet. You're going to earn your stripes. So when you look at Ole Miss, I think the first thing, if I'm LSU, let me get by the Rebels first. I'm looking steady at him because, as I just mentioned, there's a lot of intrigue that's going in to that game. And it brings back the ghost of Billy Cannon. It's going to be in Oxford, Mississippi. Think about that, baby. It's not a Saturday night game, but it's a game in the Grove. And the Grove is a little bit different place, if you know what I mean. Talk to the gentleman right now, the handsome gentleman that's leading us today on 100 Yards Football. He was at the Grove a couple of weeks ago. Back to you, Harper.
Well, the Grove's a special place now. If you've never been, people are friendly, even up to kickoff, and then they got to turn on you. They're not going to give you any more barbecue sauce or something cold to drink. But the field is amazing. There are putting greens that are in worse shape than that turf. The stadium's a little bit smaller for SEC standards, but it's going to be as loud as it probably has ever been, or at least in the last 10 or 20 years. I think this is one of those games that every player on the Ole Miss roster has circled and go, we need to beat these guys in our building and establish ourselves and get rid of the ghost that kept us from going to the playoff last year. They're 4-0 right now. They're 2-0 in the conference already, so they are tested. Here's what I would look for if I was a fan and I didn't know anything better about Ole Miss. If LSU plays a man defense of any way, shape, or form, watch for deep crossing routes. The ball to be thrown over the middle where a guy's going from the right and all the way to the left side once he passes the hash marks. Ole Miss receivers are fantastic at doing that. I've seen them twice now this year, and they are great at finding open spots. So that puts the pressure on the offensive line, Vincent. If you give this man time to throw, Trinidad Chambers is going to beat you deep. He's averaging 11.6 yards anyways, only for he's only been sacked twice. So this is what I expect if it's man. If it's zone, you're going to get a lot of stop routes. You're going to have some guys just sitting down in between linebackers or in between a linebacker and a safety. He's going to try to pick you apart that way. But the zone is going to be, I think, what LSU comes out. But LSU has the guys to be able to play man, and if they do, they're very smart. They're savvy. They understand defenses, but the Ole Miss wide receivers, that to me will be the challenge of the game. Obviously, if you don't give him time to throw, we're not going to do any of that. We got to shorten everything down. But long passes, 10, 14, 17 yards down across the field, that's what I expect a lot out of Lane Kiffin's offense this week.
So you brought up a very good point. I'm looking at the fact that Monsieur Delane, if I'm coming into this football game, I'm thinking like this: money. This is a time for me to solidify myself going in an NFL first round, because there's going to be a lot of NFL scouts out there.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
And LSU secondary, DJ Pickett is a freshman, 6'4" guy. Other people in that secondary, this is your chance, your safeties, to make a lot of money on Saturday. Because one thing, as my man, Mr. Harper, LeBel, just said, he saw him up close and personal. Gentlemen, it's color analysis for Georgia State football. I don't mean to put his business out there, but that's just how talented he is. He's seen this team up close and personal. And if I'm looking and I'm sitting back, and I'm Monsieur Delane, it's Wednesday right now, I'm studying game film, and I'm looking at money. Because you're going to get a chance to make plays in that game. And that's going to be really exciting for me. I like to see how the corners match up against the receivers, because it's money. NFL scouts in the stands, and they're going to look at, can you cover? Back to you, Harper.
Yeah. I'm going to need multiple screens. I'm going to need to have a radio hooked into one ear for one game and then another ear, a different game. UCLA, Northwestern, Cal Berkeley at Boston College, Utah at West Virginia. That ought to be an interesting matchup. But really the next one that we should be talking about right here is Auburn trying to bounce back from last week's tough loss against Oklahoma, against the number 9 team in the nation, at the Texas A&M Aggies. This is an afternoon game in Texas, and it's still September. It may not be as hot as it was a month ago, but nonetheless, Auburn should be used to the heat. But it is one of those things that the weather down in Texas can be a factor. What are your thoughts here about this one?
I'm going to go back to watch the Auburn-Oklahoma game. I thought Auburn played very well. They had some breakdowns in the secondary. OU made some passes in the playing game. But the thing that bothered me most about it, and if I think Auburn cleans this up, I think they can be very competitive and maybe win a game. Jackson Arnold got sacked 7 times last week. Yep. And Auburn had 10 penalties. You're not going to win no football game when that's happening. Jackson Arnold, to me, if he had more time, it would have been a more different game, because they got people on the outside. Cam Coleman made some catches in the Oklahoma game. Eric Singleton, who another local guy, Alexander High School here in Douglasville, Georgia, made some plays in the game. And most of all, I thought Auburn played well defensively. You're going to give up some plays against a team like Oklahoma and a quarterback like John McTeer. Now you're going against Texas A&M, another better, maybe just as good a quarterback, and Marcel Reed. He's hot right now, had 360 yards against Notre Dame. Now 4 touchdowns against Notre Dame, over 400 yards passing. They got a very explosive running back in LeVon Moss, Mario Craver, and KC Concepcion, an NFL talent at the receiver position. So what I'm saying, Auburn has the talent. But what I'm looking for in a football game, can they clean up them little points I just brought up? The 10 penalties and the 7 sacks. And that's got to be cleaned up if they're going to stay in the football game against A&M. Back to you, Harp.
Yeah, Jackson Arnold, the numbers are pretty good so far, but that 15 for sacks so far this year, that can't happen. That's just not just him. That's everything, right? That's your backs failing to pick up a blitzer. That's your offensive line failing to protect your quarterback. That's your quarterback not getting rid of the ball sooner. Your offensive coordinator, your quarterback coach. There's a weakness there that is glaring. And obviously, Oklahoma exposed that. They win that game last week, 24-17. Auburn's always been close. And this is just one of those deals where, gosh, are they going to be close enough to be able to stay with them? They just kind of crept into the top 25, and then they lose to Oklahoma. They're out again. They're a good team. There's a lot of talent. We're going to talk to Juan Daniels later tonight to do the SEC show. And he was at that game, so he's probably going to tell us a little bit more about how you just want to pound your hand on the table and go, what are these guys doing? Don't have it's 3rd and 2 and you get a 5-yard penalty. It's 3rd and 7. You don't get out of it. You got to punt. Just little things like that add up. But A&M, they're good. They beat UTSA, scored 42 points against them, 44 against Utah State, and then 41 against Notre Dame. So they've been consistent right now. Now, Notre Dame's struggling a little bit. I get it, but it's still Notre Dame. And A&M, Marcel Reed, you mentioned him, 9 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He's only been sacked once. I think that'll be one of the big keys. If they protect Marcel Reed and they cannot protect Jackson Arnold, this might be a blowout.
As I said before, the game is very simple. I'm very surprised that Auburn is playing so poorly on offensive line because they got one of the top tackles in the portal, Xavier Chapman, that came over from Virginia Tech. That is very, very alarming. If I'm an Auburn University football fan and an Auburn man, War Eagle, that your offensive line last week gave up 7 sacks in that game to Oklahoma. Now, I know Oklahoma's got a great defense. I heard in the past from OU players, as you mentioned to me, Harper, so they can play defense. But you get in this championship level, whether you're in the Big Ten, whether you're in the SEC, whether you're in the Pac-10, man, for you to go to the next level, your offensive line has got to play well. They cannot give up 7 sacks in the game and have 10 penalties.
Nope.
Think about the score. Oklahoma won 24-17, but think about if Auburn would have had half of those penalties and Jackson Arnold wouldn't have got sacked them many times. We might be talking about something different today. Yep. Back to you, Harper.
But we're not. And if you get your quarterback sacked 7 times against a top 10 team and 15 on the year, that you're going to get your coach fired. It may not be the head coach, but someone's going to have to be replaced if you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing at that level. But anyways, 3-1 Auburn, 3:30 Eastern time on ESPN. That's that kick against 3-0 Texas A&M. The Aggies are number 9 in the country right now. So that'll be another one of these really good games that you just want to peek in. You want to at least see what the score is at halftime. You may be watching another game, but this will be one of those ones that you want to say, I think I saw something out there. If Auburn gets it together and gets a win on the road, they'll be back in the top 25 and working their way, trying to get themselves into the playoff. Last game that we want to look at here today, we're going to pick 5 every week, folks, and this is one of the big ones right here. Big Ten game. This will be at 7 o'clock Eastern, and we're going to talk about Penn State at home against the Quack Quack Ducks. Vincent, they're both undefeated. Number 6 in the country versus number 3. This is really the first real test for both of them. Oregon was at Oregon State last week. They played Northwestern. They already 1-0 in conference play. They beat Oklahoma State, and everybody's beaten Oklahoma State. Gundy gets fired just 2 days ago. They beat Montana State to open up the season, did Oregon 59-13. Does 4 games at this point in the season mean more than just playing 3 games? Give me your thoughts here about just the matchup itself.
Matchup is huge. College football playoff game, if you ask me. As I said before on several shows in the past, Dan Lanning. Let's be honest. I'm going to ask you a true question, Harper. You're a football man, played at a high level, Colorado State, played in the league, 11 seasons, very talented. When Dan Lanning got the job at Oregon, can you honestly look me in the face and thought he was going to have this type of success and keep it going like they have over there, up there in Eugene? Be honest.
No idea. No idea what to expect. Here's why. I didn't know that he was a kids coach, meaning that the kids would receive him. I didn't know that he would take advantage of the Oregon situation. For decades now, they call it the reveal at Oregon. On Friday nights, they text out to every high school kid that will listen to them, including the top recruits that they want. This is what we're going to wear tomorrow. They call it the reveal. If we're going to wear black helmet, yellow shirt, chrome pants, doesn't matter. And they have someone wearing the uniform that they're going to wear the next day, and it's like a fashion show, and the kids eat it up. It's a very unique experience if you're an Oregon Duck fan to be a part of that. You got Phil Knight's money. I didn't know. I don't know. But boy, has he done something consistent, right? They joined the Big Ten. They win the West. To assume we're here for a purpose. SC, no. Washington, no. UCLA, no. It's us. The Ducks are quacking. And so, yes, Lanning has done a fantastic job of playing well. The Oregon way, too. Fast, quick hits, whatever. Offensively, you better bring something because you're not going to be able to stop us otherwise.
Well, like I said, I'm going to tell you, Mr. Lanning has been very impressive. And I'm just so happy and proud of him because, like I said, he got his job. Do not get jealous, nobody. At the 901 Memphis. Check the resume.
I forgot. We had at least one mention of Memphis today. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. And then him being the D coordinator at Georgia and going over to Oregon. I mean, he has kept the quack going. And he's done it with Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel. Now I think he's got the best quarterback he's had since he's been coached at Dante Moore, Martin Luther King High School out of
Isn't
Detroit.
that interesting that we don't know anything about Dante Moore, but boy, we're learning. Every week he does something amazing.
962 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 INT. Was at UCLA back in your woods in LA. Things didn't work out. Now he's at Oregon. And I'm going to tell you this, if he have a huge game on Saturday, can we start talking about maybe him in the conversation of Heisman talk? But Oregon is a team, we know they're going to score points. They got a very good NFL receiver, Malik Vincent, that was at the University of Alabama. We know Oregon is going to play defense to a certain level. We know they're going to play fast. And to me, when it's a big game like this, Oregon comes to play. Now, Penn State, this is your backyard. Yep. Pretty boy James Franklin, I call you the Chico DeBarge of the college football world. You did a lot of talking.
Has he ever been called Chico DeBarge before? I think this is the first. Are you breaking the mold right here by calling him that?
No, usually when I talk to fans outside the show, that's what we call him, Chico DeBarge.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But
I get it.
Remember the great R&B singer from the DeBarge family in '84 I think he had 2 hits. That was about it.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. And the reason, if people don't understand what I call Mr. Franklin Chico DeBarge, because DeBarge were good-looking people. It's so I ain't gonna get into all that music phase, but
yeah, you're about
remember this. It don't seem like he been at State what's the place? State College Park a long time up there at Penn State, but he's been there a while.
Yes, he has.
And he had some teams that should have been in the national championship game. But when you look at it, this is supposed to be his best team because he had Drew Allen coming back. Katron Allen coming back, Nicholas Singleton coming back, Dane Dennis Sutton coming back. These guys are all highly rated NFL draft prospects.
Yep.
So very interesting to me to see how Penn State is going to respond. This is a huge football game because every time Penn State is kind of playing in this moment, especially in the Big Ten, they've lost big games like this, a.k.a. Ohio State, a.k.a. Michigan. So it's another big game, but this time it's in your home field. And the stadium up there, what it sits up there in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, what, about 100,000?
106 easily, maybe 109. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at it from a standpoint, the pressure's on Penn State, but it's a huge college playoff game. But hey, let's don't make no mistake, Dan Lanning has had his team to play in moments like this. This is a team, Oregon, that went undefeated as a new member last year in the Big Ten. And they steamrolled Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. So it's very interesting. 2 teams are going to have a lot of talent on the field, a lot of speed. I'm just going to be excited to see which team make the bigger plays. And when you look at it, I'm going to give it back to you, Harper. One thing I'm going to look at the defense on both sides. you better have the ability to tackle in space. Listen to them key words I'm saying, tackling in space. Because if you miss a tackle, 6 points. But I'm going to give it back to my friend, Mr. Harper LeBel, my partner in crime. I hope he tells a story about James Franklin, but that's another day. But when Mr. Franklin was coach at Vanderbilt, done something that I don't like Mr. Franklin even now, so I'm going to go with Oregon. But back to you, Harper.
Well, let's do this. James Franklin teams have notoriously played great defense, and they're going to need to do so. I think Oregon's speed, especially with the slot receivers and their ability to just find an open spot, is second to none, and it's been that way for a decade, not just with Lanning, probably 15, 20, when Marcus Mariota was there. They know how to get open. They're gonna throw it a lot. Penn State may not throw it 5 times. Why would you need to? Unless you're behind, you're going to mash people. You're going to try to, at least. My offensive line is bigger than everyone you have on defense, probably bigger than a couple of your guys that you put them together. Katron Allen is averaging 8.0 yards per rush. He's got 3 of their 9 touchdowns. But also, Nick Singleton, he's averaging 4.4, and he's got 5 of their 9. So I think they're going to run the ball. They're not going to have to pass it early unless they get behind. But control the clock. If we get Oregon to punt once or twice in the half, we're gonna be just fine. That's what I think their mantra is going to be. But if Oregon comes out and they find open guys and they just zing it all over the field, this could be a wild game. And you get Penn State out of their normal mold. Now Drew Aller can throw. We know that. And he's got some great receivers on his team. So this is one of those matchups where I think the coordinators are really going to have to say there could be 2 or 3 different games that take place within the game. What we want to do, what we have to do to get us back into it, and then how we control it once we get the lead. Either one of these teams could dominate, and it's just, very interesting. Now, Penn State, if you ask me real quick, Vincent, they always seem to trip 1 time per season, and it affects them dramatically from being able to play against Michigan or Ohio State in the conference championship. Last year, it was in the conference championship, as you mentioned. They lose to Oregon, but they always seem to have that one thing that keeps them away from it. Getting a win here at home, I think the place is going to be rocking. The kids are going to be all over this place. I think there'll be very few Ducks that are able to travel there. There aren't going to be a lot of tickets because everybody at the home team, they're going to take everything they can.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think Dan Lanning, they're going to be ready to play. I think they got one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country. I really like Dante Moore. I think he's played at a high level. And one thing about Coach Lanning, the guy's a warrior. And a lot of people don't know his backdrop. And then I don't mean to say this about him, but his wife was a survivor of cancer. So he's been through some wars. And like I said, he's built differently, and his football team builds differently. And I'll be honest, one more time as I say this, I did not think Oregon was going to keep up this level of winning when he took the job. I thought they'd take a step back. I thought they could get there with him. But really coming out of the gates and playing well as they have played with, and think about this, they've done it with a different quarterback. He got Bo Nix drafted in the first round, man, because of the system. Yeah. Dylan Gabriel, he got him drafted in the 3rd round. Now he might have the best talented player at the position. Dante Moore, this is an Oregon team that really, to be honest, that can really win the national championship. They have that type of talent. And this is a huge football game for Penn State because Penn State has that type of talent also. But James Franklin said this is his best team, and everybody was saying Penn State should have been the consensus #1 preseason pick over Texas. But hey, we're going to have 2 talented teams. So it's going to be, hey, money is going to be high. Stakes are going to be high. And it's going to be some good football. And Oregon is going to put the pressure on Penn State because they're going to come out and they're going to be full throttle with the offense, with a full throttle quarterback. Back to you, Harper.
You bring up a very interesting point to me. The run-pass option, which has taken over college football, most people think it's when the quarterback gets that shotgun snap, he puts his hands out, the running back comes next to him, and he can either keep it and take it around the edge, or he can give it to the running back. It depends on what the defensive end is doing. You read the defensive end, and you have the option of doing A or B or A, depending on what that guy does. That's the run portion of it. The pass option, there's the same thing. If that linebacker goes out towards the sideline, you hit the end guy, the slot receiver. If he stays where he is, the slot receiver is going to run an option route. Then you go to the back in the flat. You hit the guy running a post route, the wide receiver. There are different options depending on how you play. And when you mentioned Bo Nix was basically put in right away in Denver because he understood what linebackers and what safeties were doing. And he was able to learn that in college and apply it to his craft when he was drafted. So for you to say Dante Moore is getting it, and we're seeing him get it, he's becoming NFL ready. He's not there yet. Nobody is. You still have to learn a lot of things, but you're prepping for it, and you're doing it at the highest level. In a game there in Pennsylvania, my goodness, this is a scouter's dream. And there are going to be a lot of scouts, obviously, there and with him throughout the rest of the year to see what this kid has. And could he be a sneak peek guy that we like what he does, we like the system and he's under, and we like the way he's learning. And who would want to have that on the NFL roster?
Think about this, and I'm going to give it right back to you, Harper. Bo Nix, when he transferred out there to Oregon, remember he had a rough time at Auburn. When he got there,
pulled off the field. Yeah, he did. Right.
Right. Did you honestly think he would develop into a first-round pick under that system for 2 years under Dan Lanning in Oregon? But you brought up a good point. If you go back and watch Bo Nix, especially his last year at Oregon, he mastered that pass option. He mastered it. It was like him being a point guard, dishing it. And it got that man drafted 12th overall in the draft. And now you got a bigger, more talented guy in Dante Moore that's doing the same thing. I'm going to really look at his play on Saturday against Penn State. Back to you, Harper.
Real simple. TB12 has 7 Super Bowl rings because he wanted to learn. Even in his last year in the league, he goes, I want to learn what other people are doing. He said at one point, I studied Kansas City defense. I knew what they were doing before they even did it because he was learning. He was receiving information, and it was helping him and his team to get better. He did that all throughout his career. He wasn't the best throwing guy, but who wouldn't want to have number 12 on their roster? Okay, ask Tampa what it was like. We're going to bring him in for 2 years. We win 1 Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? You go to the playoffs twice. Information, knowledge, understanding stuff, and being able to apply it on the practice field and then again in a game against an opponent, it's a desirable commodity for obvious reasons. And we're hoping Oregon's offensive strategy ends up being a welcome relief for a guy like Dante Moore and what his pro career could end up being. All right, well, we've looked at all the 5 games that we want, but Vincent, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention there were a couple that we didn't get to talk about. Let me say Arizona at Iowa State. Iowa State's number 14 right now in the country. I think that'll be a good game. I'm looking forward to that. That's later in the evening. Your Volunteers go to Mississippi State. What do you think is going to happen there in Starkville?
As I said on our new show yesterday on the platform, Mr. Joey Klinsky, play ball, Tennessee. Don't take Mississippi State lightly. Jeff Levy, they're undefeated. They had an important win, an impressive win over a highly ranked Arizona State team, and Blake Sharp and their quarterback is playing lights out. Don't go down there and disrespect Starkville, Mississippi. You're a better team, and you need to win that football game.
Yep, get your business done. Get your business done while you're there. All right, Battle of the Midwest, Indiana, number 11. Curt Cignetti, you mentioned him earlier in the broadcast. They go to Iowa. That's another one. Hey, don't disrespect Iowa. Kanicki Stadium and the little hospital. You wave at the kids. You do all that kind of stuff, and then you got to play ball.
Like I said before, Indiana, you playing with house money. You proved that you was a team that deservedly last week against Illinois. You look like a top 10 team. Illinois was ranked number 9. But I'm going to say this. I think Indiana, Curt Cignetti is a different type of guy out of Pittsburgh. We had some great guys that's been on our platform. Mr. Sam McDowell out of Pittsburgh. They built differently. Kim Horrock, they built differently. There's something about them. It's about that arrogance that comes out of Pittsburgh. And to be honest, a lot of people pissed off head coach Curt Cignetti because they say Indiana didn't deserve to be a playoff team last year. They went down to South Bend, lost that game 27-17. Oh, I told you this. But last week, they showed me. Curt Cignetti said, hey, You're going to play us, and I got a quarterback and throw the football. Another guy that we should be mentioning, Fernando Mendoza out of Miami Vice. Y'all saw what happened last week, 63-10. 35, I don't remember the score. I think they put 42 on it. I'm looking for Indiana to really roll in this game, to make another statement, to be honest about it. I think this is a really good football team with a coach that got a point to prove to everybody on the national level. Back to you, Harper.
Yeah, big win at home last week against Illinois. Illinois was ranked higher, but now the Hoosiers are ranked number 11 going into this game, and they should beat Iowa. Everything is in their favor, but anything can happen there in the Big Ten. All right, last game I want to at least discuss why, if this were any other year, we would talk. This would be one of those feature games that you have where you got Roll Tide, number 17 Alabama, goes into Athens, and they take on number 6 Georgia.
Huge football game, man. We live in the metro Atlanta area, so basically if you're trying to go up, what's the highways? You're trying to go up through Stone Mountain or through Monroe, Georgia, you need to be there about 9 a.m. trying to get to the stadium for a 7:30 kickoff.
No, but you'll be late. You'll be late. You got about 8:35. Don't leave your house any later than 8:35.
Because that traffic gonna be backed up for about 50 miles. You could get out of the car and go to the Waffle House or Stuckey's or somewhere and get you something to eat, and then get back in your car, and you still won't be there on time.
Yeah.
But no, if you ever been on the campus of Athens, I wish I had a ticket. I wish I was there. It's gonna be very special. People gonna get up early in the morning, and it's gonna be mayhem, and everybody gonna be looking in the air. I don't know what brand, but Harper, you've been up there for a game, I'm assuming. I've been up there for a game. It's a very special place. And the stadium is kind of on the outskirts of the campus, across the street from the railroad tracks. So that makes it more unique. But this is a huge football game. Huge football game for the University of Alabama and Caleb DeBoer. One thing that's happened since the Florida State game, their quarterback has played very well, Ty Simpson. 862 yards on the year. Last week against Wisconsin and with Ryan Williams, they played like we should have thought they played Alabama football. Georgia had a very huge win over Tennessee 2 weeks ago. Gunnar Stockton proved to me that, hey, whoever Georgia puts on the center of Kirby Smart, they're going to get the job done. One thing I took from him in that football game, and I had questions about, could he really be accurate throwing the football? 306 yards. Made that NFL throw on the final drive for Georgia to tie the game and get it into overtime. What more can you say? Two teams that's pumped out NFL players. Look at our NFL rosters. You look at Bama players, you look at Georgia players. You got one coach that might go down as the greatest coach in Georgia football history that's won 2 national championships. And you got another coach that came out of the University out of Northwestern, replaced a legend. So this is a huge football game, man. And, hey, what more can you say? NFL scouts going to be in the stands. I'm assuming it's going to be a scout from every team. It's old school, Georgia and Alabama. And when I think about this game, Harper, I always think about the 76 game. And people looking here, why is he talking about the 76 game? Well, that was the game that Georgia won the Southeastern Conference that year and went undefeated, but they beat Alabama 21-0. And Alabama was heavily favored in that game. And that was a Georgia team that had Matt Robertson at quarterback. And they had the Junkyard Dogs and Irk Russell. That's when I really started following Georgia football. And then Alabama had Baumhauer. They had Marty Lyons. They had an assumingly great talent team, and they went in there. And the thing I think about from that game was Alabama came in town that night. And I don't know what hotel they stayed in, but if you talk about any legend Georgia fan, they said the Georgia fans went right down there to the hotel, and they started making a lot of noise. And one of the things, one of my best friends, shout outs to Mr. Joseph Taylor, diehard Georgia fan, he said that what Georgia did, they kept the Alabama players up all night. Da, 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 da. They started singing the University of Alabama fight song. and Alabama couldn't get no sleep. But that's what I think about when these two teams play. Always that 76 game. Back to you, Harper.
It'll be a fight for sure, but will Kirby Smart finally get that lopsided rivalry that he had with Nick Saban? Could only beat Nick in Indianapolis. That was other than that. They play him in Atlanta. They play him in Athens. They just struggled like crazy against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So I'm going to be excited for this one as well. Radio from one ear, another ear.
Yeah.
TVs all over the place. A lot of great football. We hope you enjoy it. We've talked about 5 of the games. And by the way, that starts on Thursday. Again, Army takes on East Carolina on Thursday. That'll be a lone game on Thursday. 3 games on Friday. We touched on one of those, Florida State at Virginia. That one on ESPN at 7 o'clock. And a full slate of action starting at 12 o'clock noon on Saturday. You've got USC, Illinois, Notre Dame, and Arkansas, Rutgers, and Minnesota. And then the games that we talked about, most of them are at 3:30. And plenty of action. So for Vincent Turner, I'm Harper LeBel. We want to wish you a fantastic rest of your day. We are grateful that you watched us here on 100 Yards of Football. This has been our NCAA weekly preview for 5 big games that are taking place this weekend. We hope you have a great time watching and have a fantastic